everybody. Welcome to the Hallmark Movies podcast. And today we're continuing our look at Drop Dead Diva. We're looking at season 4.
Woo.
It's been a lot of fun. We have recapped the previous 3 seasons. We had Josh Berman on, the creator and writer and everything behind Drop Dead Diva. So we've been talking a lot of Drop Dead Diva lately. It's so much fun. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Jazzman's here.
Hey, everybody.
How are you doing?
I am doing good. It is a great day. We're almost at the weekend.
Yes.
For another, grand weekend of finishing up going into season 5. So season 4 is here. Like, I can't believe we're in the second half of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun season. I do think that you miss Fred so much.
Oh gosh. We have to talk about it because I have lots of things to talk about.
Yes, Luke is no Fred, unfortunately.
Sure.
Yeah. And I guess when I asked Josh about it, and he had never been made a primary member of the cast. He was always a feature member of the cast. And then he got a job on Mad Men. So, and especially at that time, you couldn't pass that up. So,
oh yeah,
I understand.
Now we understand. Okay.
But we miss Fred so much. But yeah, let's dive in because we've got a lot to cover. These episodes are always pretty long, so we appreciate. I've been kind of pleased and surprised how good numbers that these have gotten, because I'm thinking, is anybody going to want to listen to us talk about Drop Dead Diva for an hour and a half?
I know the show has not been on almost over a decade or haven't any reruns, but
yeah,
this show is very important.
Yeah.
Talk about. It's part of the culture, you guys.
Yes. So our first episode is called Welcome Back. And this episode is, while Jane and Owen are enjoying their Roman holiday in Italy, the firm is on shaky ground under Kim's leadership when she discovers they are in financial trouble. Kim reluctantly dispatches Terry to bring Jane home to take on a lucrative murder case, while Grayson comes to terms with his new feelings for Jane. Meanwhile, following the devastating news of Grayson and Stacy kissing, Fred moves on with new girlfriend Allie. Stacy turns to famed relationship guru Nikki Lepre for love advice. So there's a lot going on there. But overall, what do you think of this episode, this premiere?
I just want to know why we did not get an opening dance scene. Like, come on, what happened? Like, what's the budget like? Let me know. Do we miss any
We do get some good ones in the season, but you're right. It would have been kind of fun if they'd had like a I don't know, like an homage to Roman holiday or something like that. I mean, or some kind of number. I mean, Roman holiday isn't a musical, but you know what I mean.
Just something like, I don't care if you Jesus Superstar, like something.
Yeah.
To help us out. But this is just an opening about what happened from last season of the cliffhanger. Cliffhanger, how Jane was sitting in that in her seat, and we thought it was gonna be Grayson, but it was Owen, and now we're here.
Yeah.
This was was it a great introduction to it? Welcome back.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. The first 5 minutes it felt bland. I'm like, why does it feel so bland? Thank you for Terry for showing up, though. Yeah. Terry saved the day for showing up to saving the whole episode.
Well, yeah, and since I watched this like last week, it's been like a week and a half. I like hardly remember the cases at all in this one.
I do remember the case actually.
I have it written down, but
I remember because fuzzy. I need to ask a serious question. How did the firm become broke? Jane was gone for 3 weeks, y'all. 3 weeks, yeah. And she comes back. She did a high profile case because we need the money, and because she don't talk to you. Oh, now I remember, because I haven't watched it either. You guys don't judge my life. But yeah, because it was a friend that Jane knew. I think it was in law school, something like that. She was suing her. I guess it's like some murder situation, but the money. But how did the firm go broke?
Yeah.
What happened, Kim?
Well, I mean, it had been kind of hurting in the last couple seasons. They'd had some plots with that. And now you have kind of going through this season, they end up with Luke as their investor. And then there's the Gina person who comes in later. But yeah, they evidently are just not getting enough billable hours. I don't know what it is. They do too much pro bono
out there. answer our questions. How does the firm become broke? Like, answer our questions. There could be many different things.
Yeah, too much pro bono work, I think, and not
probably
enough billable hours. But yeah, it starts with them in Italy, and that's fun. And I just love Owen so much. I mean, we'll talk about it in the middle of the season.
Yes, we need to.
He's frustrating, but then I don't know, I just love his character so much. And it was kind of fun. I tweeted to Lex Medlin that we love Owen the other day, and he liked it, and now he's following us on Twitter. So a little starstruck there. Very exciting. So Lex, you want to come on the podcast?
Definitely. We need to see. What if we had all of Jane's past relationships, like we talk about them, like, I'm down for it. Maybe we should find Tony too.
I remember at the time being pretty pro Team Owen, which is sort of shocking when you just think about the whole basis of the show, that he's so likable. They have such amazing chemistry that you're able to win viewers over from. I mean, Grayson that should be a really hard sell, but it's not.
Yeah, because
I love Owen.
Definitely. When you have a t-shirt that says "I love Owen,"
yeah, we'll put it in the merch store. I mean, what if you had to pick? Would you still go Team Grayson, or would you maybe be over in Team Owen?
Like, honestly, hands down, because how it was progressing since last season. 100% T. Owen. He's there to like go to Renaissance Fair, do trials. He's there. He's gonna risk going to his job in Australia to go with me to Italy. Like, he is down for the cause.
Yeah.
Okay. He wines and dines me. Like,
I honestly think that Brooke Elliott and Lex Medlin had better chemistry. I mean, I love Jackson. He's great as Grayson, but I don't know.
They had chemistry. They have the
chemistry, but I don't know. There's just something about, like, I would die if they announced a Christmas movie with Lex Medlin and Brooke Elliott. Like, please make that happen. I would be so excited.
We're pushing it first. You hear us right now, Hallmark. You hear this? Push it on Twitter.
Yes. Samantha DePeppo and Amy Winter, all the people over there at Lifetime and Hallmark. Let's make this happen, because I would love to see them again.
We need a reunion right now.
Yeah, I would love to see them together. And so Grayson comes to the airport. That's kind of a cliffhanger. He sees them going, and then he sees them. He sees Jane kissing Owen, and so he just can't stop thinking about Jane, and.
And going through it.
Yeah, and so then Grayson says, "Does Jane ever talk about me with Stacy?" And then we have Stacy talking to Grayson about the kiss and everything, and Jane tells her that she saw the kiss. She's is upset about it. So yeah, what do you think about all that?
Man, this is just, you gotta love little high school like drama moments of like, Grace, where were you like earlier last season when we needed this happen? Like, where were you? Okay.
I mean, and Stacy and Grayson have no chemistry at all.
They really
that
don't.
Is not a match.
And I don't know how like she would have flipped out, like, okay, they kissed, and I'm like, girl, your boyfriend don't like him.
Yeah,
you should know this.
Of course, in this episode, we get the first appearance of Nikki LaPree from Kim Kardashian. And evidently, she was just going to be in this episode, and they all liked her so much, they got along with her so well, that they brought her on for this little arc that they have in this season. What do you think about Kim?
You gotta love Kim. I'm not even gonna lie, I forgot that Kim was actually in season 4. So I remember rewatching it. I'm like, I forgot Kim's in this. Cause I remember she did like other like work too outside of E and Hulu now, like their TV show. Like she was in Tyler Perry's movie Temptation as a secretary. So she did a little bit of work. She actually sold, like she was La Pre and she lived in SoCal. Like
she's fine in this. Yeah. Like, I mean, she does what's needed.
She just brought in her sitcom acting roles of her real life into this role.
Yeah. And so, it's kind of interesting that I guess she was really great to work with, according to Josh, that she was really low maintenance and super nice. And so that's interesting. And I've never watched an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, not one in my whole life.
I think I watched like one or two. It was like on a random moment.
And yet I still know all of this information about this darn family. It's like impossible to not know about it.
I'm not gonna lie. I did have to watch the episode when was it? I think it was it Courtney or Gil? One of the three sisters, they were fighting. They were throwing hands. I'm like, supposed to be stop fighting. I'm like, you know what? She got hands.
Well, we also have Fred coming back with his TSA agent girlfriend Allie.
Yes.
And then she finds out pretty quick that he's in love with Stacy. And I mean, so did Fred know from the very beginning that if Stacy found out about him being the guardian angel, that she would forget about him?
I remember way back when yes, can remember happened the first time when he told her like you're gonna he didn't tell her particularly in this episode, but I remember before it was about if I told you, and then because remember Jane walked in like, how about with Fred? And like, who's Fred? Because it went there,
that's what happens. So he tells her he's the guardian angel, and then he's gone. He says, you won't remember me after this, which is sad.
I know. And then he did it again because his heart was so breaking and he was so in love with him. Like, you gotta leave, you gotta do another one. And that's where I think this time around, when we get to the second episode, or this episode in same time, you're gonna notice Stacy's changed different when she first got erased from Fred's memory of like, oh, I don't know who you're talking about, to I'm missing something in my heart, like something's missing.
Right.
So that's why she started baking in the first place.
Right. Yeah. So we get a nice scene with Fred saying goodbye to Jane.
That really broke me.
Yeah. And there's this whole case with this woman, Emily, played by Megan Price, and this murder investigation. And that first they get that they think that the husband did it, and that they create like meaningful doubt, reasonable doubt, that the husband could have done it, and then that Emily's going to testify against the husband. And then on trial, she says she killed the guy, not the husband. And so it's all just a mess, and the charges end up getting dismissed against the husband. Yeah. And both of the couple end up getting off.
Exactly. And then Jane, I never want to see your face again. It was just like after that whole thing happened, that's like the last little piece, they figured it out. I'm like, wow. I was like the second case that happened underneath Jane, or it could be with Grayson, like something happened to this magnitude of like someone getting off or anything like that.
Yeah, someone taking advantage of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're just nice people. Okay.
And then we have Luke getting introduced. He's the angel investor.
Angel investor.
Jane says to Luke, says, I am and forever will be Deb. Period. And Grayson is starting to figure things out. He figures out, because Stacy had said that Jane is Deb. And Grayson figures out that Jane and Deb died on the same day.
Yes, girl.
So he's starting to put the pieces together.
I swear, Grayson, just tell us that you secretly was a detective in your past life, because he do detective work. Okay, he sure was.
Yeah. So what would you give this episode 1 to 10?
I'm gonna give this episode an 8 for a great start. Also, fun fact, Parker did return towards the end of the episode for his son in Chicago. With looking, at least in his son, and Kim is Kim's just Kim.
I would say that this one is just fine for me.
Yeah.
I would give it like a 6.5 or 7. Like it's perfectly fine premiere.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Next episode we have is called Home. And this is Jane and Grayson partner up on a case involving a 16-year-old video game genius determined to sue his father while Kim represents her own father in an eviction case. The firm's new angel investor, Luke, finds a way to be more involved with Jane's personal life than she would like. Stacy and Nikki decide to go into business together despite Jane's hesitation. A lot going on in this episode. We have
this show is
we have this video game CEO. He wants to go to Brazil to this convention or whatever, and the dad's not allowing it. And then they find out that he was the reason why is because he doesn't want the customs to figure out that he was a stolen baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought this was actually a pretty good case. Normally I'm kind of like, I could care less about the cases. I'm just here for the characters. But this one was pretty good as far as this cop who finds this baby in this crack house and decides to take care of the baby. And they had tried to find the mother, but they weren't able to. So he just ended up taking care of it. And you end up bringing in the birth mother in this. And I thought it was a pretty good case.
No, it really was a solid good case. And some of these things actually do happen in real life. But CPS, I gotta step it up when it comes to getting these babies. When the cops save them. Because y'all, how y'all gonna slip? He got slipped through the cracks, honestly. No pun intended, because he found him in the crack house, but he was slipped through the cracks where they're waiting for CPS to go pick the baby up, but didn't, so they raised him as his own, as his lovely father did. And also the wife actually passed away too, on top of that. And now the kids are in the system right now, currently stuck in the placement right now while he's going through trial. I'm like, these things happen every day.
Yeah. So then, because there's a sister as well, and the birth mother, there's some question of, did she leave the baby there on purpose so that this officer would find the baby? I mean, obviously he should have told, but he didn't want the baby to be taken away. So it all I thought it all made quite a bit of sense.
That's true.
And they end up, did Vicky terminate her parental rights by leaving her child in a drug den? And then they have all of the officers stand up and say they all knew he had taken the baby. So the statute of limitations is passed. And yeah, that was all a pretty good, I think, story.
Yeah.
So then we also have John Ratzenberg playing Kim's dad. And basically he's become the squatter in the CEO's house because the company didn't pay him his rightful dues for being a janitor, and he's bitter and upset, and Kim does not get along with her dad at all.
She's like the first time outside of her seeing her sister, we're seeing her parents actually. So we're seeing her dad. So it's kind of like you see like now I kind of get more sense of Kim a little bit. Like her dad's a janitor, her mom's her mom is a question mark because we don't know where her mom's at. But
yeah, I don't think we've had her mom on.
No, so we just know that her dad was a school janitor or a janitor for a company, and this is where she comes to be a lawyer. I'm like, wow. But no, it's funny though, because squatting happens all the time. Like our squatting, like squatters, like laws here in California is totally different. Like you hear these stories where people are buying houses and there are squatters living there, and it's hard to get them evicted.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
No, it's true. There are all kinds of laws that actually make it pretty hard to evict somebody. Like you have to be very careful if you are a landlord. Like if my tenants just stop paying for some reason, God forbid, there's very little that I could actually do. Like there's all of these. It's pretty complicated. What you have to go through in order to actually evict someone. It's hard.
Yes, but Kim's dad, oh my goodness, he had me rolling. Like it was when he changed his address on his driver's license, everything. Like, oh, he lives here. I was like, he lives here.
Well, and then Parker storms in and makes the claim that there's actually a lien on the house, and so that helps too. So they're basically claiming that this guy owes all of these employees, including Kim's dad, all this money, and then they find out that he had furnished the house with company funds, and so then he's arrested for grand larceny. We also get Jane getting arrested in this episode for jury tampering,
right?
Because what happened is that Jane and Kim were in the elevator, and the oh gosh, was that that's this episode, right?
No, that was the next episode. Was it this episode?
Oh, she is arrested for jury tampering. I can't remember if this was the elevator one though or not.
No, I think it's the next episode.
Okay. Well, she's arrested for jury tampering, and then Owen comes in, is like, oh, my woman behind bars, kind of hot.
But she did get arrested though. But there are two different.
It's a different one with the elevator. So that was a fun scene.
Yes, Jane being a bad girl, you guys.
I just love Owen so much. I just do.
Like, we love you, Owen.
Yeah, and so we also find out that Unchained Melody is Deb and Grayson's song.
I know.
And Luke tells her to move on from being Deb and Grayson, and then Luke texts Owen, and he stops Grayson from bringing her drinks, and so they end up Owen and Jane end up on the date.
That part.
And anyway, so that was a pretty good scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, I need to like say this because it happened in this episode. Was it this episode or next episode? But Luke over here is talking about the reason that that Grayson got to the car accident was because Jenna almost told Grayson that she was dead. I'm like, did he be clear, Hallmarkies? This has been said. You watch the episodes. It was not Jane's fault that Grayson got hit by that car. It was the fact that Jane ran out because one, Grayson told her that he got engaged, and two, to be his best man. Yeah. That's the reason that he got hit by the car, not because she was going to tell him, but she was upset. Luke, I need you to get your receipts together, okay? Because you have the same TV up there in heaven watching it from the
Luke is fine, but he definitely feels like a downgrade from Fred. But I was glad that they didn't just make another story of Luke falling in love with Stacy. They didn't do that. So that was good.
I was rooting. I was going to talk about that later because I was rooting for a Stacy and a Luke situation because they had that chemistry situation.
No, I think that would have been lame because it's kind of like in Harry Potter, how every season it's the defensive, every book it's the defensive against the dark side teacher, and so it just becomes like, oh, boring. Whereas this, it's like we don't want Stacy to fall in love with every guardian angel. That would be boring.
No, I get that. No,
yeah. But basically, he feels like that. I mean, why do you think that he's so against Jane and Grayson getting together?
I don't know. I want to know. I thought he has some other secret that he's not telling us. That
he says that last time they got in the car accident, like you're saying, but if they are meant to be together, like at a certain point, you're just like almost stopping fate, as opposed to like, I don't know. At a certain point that you just need to like see what happens and see if they're going to be happy together. I don't know. But this was, I think this is a good episode. I'm going to give this a 9.
I had 8.5.
Yeah, I think it's a good one. Okay, so then we have episode 3, Freak Show. And this is Jane takes on a wrongful termination case, but soon becomes convinced there may be more to her client than meets the eye. Kim and Parker team up to represent Owen's sister in her divorce hearing, while Grayson helps Stacy and Nikki with the legal matters to getting their business in order. So we also have Stacy and Nikki developing the Pake going on. What do you think of this idea of a cake and pie mixed together?
You know what? I was going to ask you the same question because you know what? I had a cake and a pie side by side on a plate, but actually having a cake, I'm low-key invested into this. Low-key vested. Because I want to know how this tastes. It's kind of like an ice cream cake. Like, if ice cream cake, like...
Yeah, I mean, I try a Pake. I think it could.
Oh, but what flavor? Okay, Hallmark.
Oh yeah,
drop in the comment section on YouTube. Tweet us. What flavor of a Pake would you want to try from Stacy's Bakery? We need to know.
I know they bake the crust separately because they bake it different.
Talk about that later in upcoming episodes.
But I think it might be kind of hard for it to not be dry.
Oh,
the cake. For to stay moist, I think that would be a little bit hard.
I know it's kind of like you bake like a lemon like lemon bars where you bake the crust like for like 10 minutes or so, and you add the custard in there, you bake it for a little bit more, and then that's what I'm thinking in my mind. Or kind of like you baking like sweet potato pies or pumpkin pies, like you do the crust a little bit first, and then you add this stuff, and then not have to overcook it.
Yeah, and so in the earlier episode, I forgot to mention, so Jane is hesitant to invest in the bakery.
She sure is.
And Nikki and Stacy make a big deal about that and say, oh, you don't have faith in me. All she wanted to see was a business plan. I think that's totally
understandable.
That's completely acceptable.
Yeah, like it's kind of like, would you go to business with your friend? Like, do we have a business plan? Like, we just doing it together? Like, okay, we're gonna just free fall. Like, I support any of my friends who do businesses or XYZ. Like, want to be a partner, but what's that business plan looking like? Like, what do I get in the share? Like, how am I silent? I'm not silent. Like, those are good questions to ask.
Like, that's not just protecting your investment; it's protecting your friend's investment as well in time and money. And so, I think that you need to have some kind of business plan. To show, when you're involving other people. If it's just like, I don't really have much of a business plan for my career. It just kind of like, as a freelancer, you just kind of evolve to the next project and the next project, and you keep going. But that's fine for me, just one person. But when you're and I mean, I have some plans, but you have to be somewhat flexible as a freelancer. but if you are involving investors, certainly at a point, even friends, I think especially friends, like you do not, I mean, think how bad you'd feel if you lost your friends like tons of money, like you feel terrible. And so all the more almost to have for friends and family investors versus stranger investors. Yeah. So but they are meeting with Grayson about the Pake at the beginning, and yeah, I feel like especially in Los Angeles, like something like a Pakery could make it. That feels Los Angeles-y to me.
No, I'm really down to see. I want to know why she created the Pakery after this episode. I want to know why she did. Now I need to look that up a bit.
I don't know if anybody ever
Twitter
did, but
after this, as you guys listen to this, if there is a Pakery, anywhere around
the
here.
closest I can think of is like Nothing But Cakes. I don't know if they have those by you, but it's like a chain. Yeah, where you can get like bunt cakes. That's not quite a Pakery, but it's pretty close.
Fun fact, I saw this on Facebook. I guess they're doing like a free like Oreo giveaway for like the bunt cake place. I guess next month. I'm not sure what the date is, but I'm letting you guys know now.
Oh,
got y'all.
That's good. Well, the main case in this episode is you have Patty Duke as Rita. She stopped a shoplifter, and they have evidently a non-confrontation policy, and so they use that as an excuse to fire her and take her out of her pension. And they find out that she's been like recommending other stores and other things, that she doesn't think the products are good. But the big thing with her is that her sister Lauren died, and she says that Lauren is inside her, and that, of course, is very exciting for Jane.
Yes.
And she thinks, oh, maybe this is somebody who experienced it. And like, in fairness, they were acting like this is the first time that's come up. Remember the Gregory Harrison guy?
That is true.
He said once you run the escalator into the sky, then you're never the same.
Yep.
And so we also find out that Jane is a Tribeca-phile.
Right? Like, I keep telling you guys every recap, we find more and more about Jane that she be having these secrets, you guys. Okay,
yes.
From a marriage to this, like this girl, Jane.
She's busy.
She is.
Now, Tribeca-phile, for those who don't know, is evidently somebody who loves Alex Trebek and Jeopardy, and it makes sense that Jane would be very good at Jeopardy, because she has such a wide breadth of knowledge.
It makes super sense now. Like how, like, when Deb gets her trivia coming through her mind, like, oh, I love her laugh, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm team like Jane's laugh right now, or Deb's laugh. But now it makes sense why she gets all these pop-ups of like all these facts, because she's been watching Jeopardy.
Yeah. Because especially now she would be good at it, because she not only has all of the knowledge that Jane has, but also has all of the sort of trivia and pop culture and lighter knowledge that Deb has. So she would be great at Jeopardy. I don't think I would be very good at Jeopardy, because I don't think I would click in fast enough. I think I would know it pretty well, especially if I had the topics in advance, which I think they do give you the topics in advance. But I think it's the clicking. I think I would be late at clicking in. So I think I would do better at Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, because you have as much time as you need, basically.
That was my show. I'm not gonna lie. Like, honestly, if I'm doing Jeopardy, I need to know stuff that, like, that I would know, like if it's like a charm situation, or I'm there, like, once upon a time, I'm there, like things that I would know, like pop culture or any type of like music, I would know. But other stuff,
although I did do my friend has a animation Who Wants to Be a Millionaire game that he does on his YouTube channel. Ooh. And I've done it 2 or 3 times, and there were 2 of the times I went pretty far and I did well. But one of the times I only made it like 3 questions in, because there was a Flintstones question, and I'm like, I don't know about Flintstones. Like, I know movies.
No. Wait, do you remember the question?
It was about, what is the Elks Lodge called in the Flintstones? I'm like, who knows that?
Oh, and
and anyway, and so I didn't get it. And I was out early that round, and I said, I'll never look at Flintstones the same. They ruined.
But I do have an idea. Ding. What if we partner with him to do want to be a millionaire version, but a Hallmark version of the movies?
That's a good idea, actually. That would be fun.
Like, I'm here for it. You heard it here first, Hallmarkies.
Yeah.
In the execs who hearing our thoughts while watching this or hearing it, we came up with it first. If you want to do business with us, let us know.
Yes. So, we find out that Nikki has a rap sheet. She's a criminal. So things aren't looking good for Nikki and Stacy. And then we also have Owen's sister is her husband is having an affair with this AI. She's like wants to sue, but the sister does not like Jane.
Right?
Yeah.
Jane, what is Jane doing in her past life? The more we find out Jane, the more I'm like, girl.
And so then we find out that Jane cheated on Olivia's crush in high school, and she's at the UN, model UN.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like nobody cares about high school when you're a grown up.
Okay.
Like, to be that angry, like, still.
You hold on grudges from high school, girl. I'm not gonna lie. When they mentioned
the model UN, high school in so long.
I'm not gonna lie. When they mentioned the model UN, all I thought about was Mary Kay Ashley Olsen movie when they went to London.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, and so, but then we get the really cute both Jane and Owen both saying they love each other.
That was the pivotal moment when she told the sister Olivia, like, you know what, I'm trying to work this out, because I love Owen. Like, I love her first declaration of saying I love you, and then Owen hears it. It was just so romantic.
Yeah, he's like, you said it first, but I love you too.
Like, so I am T Owen. Like, this is the whole relationship is gold right now in the series.
So then they claim they are using Olivia's likeness for Eve, the AI. Even though she looks like this other model, everything else about her is Olivia. And so they have a win. They win for Olivia, and so she'll receive half of Eve's profit. And then we find out that Rita lied about the story of being Lauren. She just said it to make herself like feel better because she's grieving, which makes sense, but it's devastating for Jane.
I know. And then Luke over here, like, I'm so mad. Luke over here, like, what? Like, I didn't know about this. Like, are you sure? Like, you should, like, how you not know? Like, I'll be right back. Oh, it seemed like a whole episode later, I'm like, you gotta hurry up with these, we don't time crunches.
And then Jane says that she'll invest in the Pakery and help Stacy. And so it's and then we also have Valerie Harper as the judge for this one. I love her so much. So that is this episode. I would give this one, I think this one's pretty good. It's elevated by the Love You. I give it a 7.5.
Oh, I had a 9 because of 9, like, because it had around cloud 9 because they had Love You.
Yeah, it is really cute. The Love You.
But no, but that. Like even with the case after they won the case, because they found out that the brakes on the car.
Oh yeah. Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It was actually, yes. We gotta be careful. Not the national brand. We're better than national. Be careful of these.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And it makes sense why.
Oh, here. Yeah. Kim take on a case suing the producer of a reality makeover show. Parker is shocked when his son Eric appears at the firm while he has his hands full serving as an arbitrator on a custody case involving a pet store rat. Terry agrees to help Stacy with the opening of her Pakery in exchange for some stage time while Grayson and Owen get competitive in basketball and loves. So it starts out with this lawyer versus basketball game, which I think was kind of funny.
I feel like
get real intense there.
You know what? I think they actually do this. I'm not sure. It's anybody who's lawyers out there, judges out there, or let me know y'all actually do
I'm
this.
sure
I think they actually do like company stuff like this, But let me know y'all do this and let us know the tea. Like, y'all let the judges win.
Evidently, the lawyers let the judges win because they didn't want them to be hard on their rulings.
Yes. And it's kind of cool, like seeing some of the judges that are on the bench throughout the whole entire series are in this basketball game. So it's kind of like, okay. So too bad they had to play in the robes.
Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is that Alfonso Moreno was the showrunner in season 4, and he would go on to be a showrunner and creator of and work with one calls The Heart. And so I actually interviewed him, and I asked him about his time on Drop Dead Diva. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I'll put a link down to that interview if people want to listen. But yeah, his you can see his influence, I guess, in this season. And then we have Eric coming to see Parker.
Yes.
And he wants to have a relationship with his son. And Eric wants to be a lawyer, and it's hard. He finds out that, that they want to move Eric away from him. And that's just tough.
It is. Tell me why. Okay, let's talk about this, guys. Remember, at the end of season 3, Parker went to Chicago. That's where, Elisa's family's at, to go find them both.
Yeah, because then they're going to go to Toronto.
But mind you, they were immature the whole time. Chilling. Like.
Yeah. I don't know what you do in that situation.
I think for me, I can't speak for myself because I've never been through going from one home to another home with divorced parents or anything like that, or you try to raise, your child though. But if you guys have been out there and had that situation before, or dealt with that either from a child perspective or from an adult perspective, how does that, it just impact the child? Like, he wouldn't know his dad.
You want to have them to have some relationship with their, I mean, I just figure that I've said it before, but more love can only help a child, as long as you feel confident that they're not going to like try to take the child or hurt the child in some way. But if it's just like another person wanting to love them, like I think that's a win.
Yeah, because remember, Parker lost out about like 7.5 years of being in Eric's life, mind you, because he didn't know about Eric.
Yeah. Well, so then we have this juror consultant coming in
this episode.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this episode, and she says that she carries herself more like a runway model than a lawyer, and she doesn't want her to flick her hair anymore or all this stuff. I thought that was really funny. It was cute.
You know what? It is so, just reading everybody up and down. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. Well, and it's what makes Jane such a wonderful character, because for the most part, any other like plus size character that you'd see in movies and shows, they kind of like, they don't have the confidence of Jane, that she has this, she feels like the confidence of a supermodel. And there's just, I just love the fact that there's so little kind of about her being sad and wallowing in the way that she looks, but she just feels beautiful. And that's
why I love about this series, because
me too.
It shows, like, even now, like, you see body positivity with different influencers out there. Some of them, they admit, like, we're not perfect all the time, but we have our moments though. But they go confident what they what they wear, how they look, etc. And I'm here for it, because even I remember, this is funny. So I remember in like high school, I was in this program, IT Academy, and we had to do like interviews, right? So I remember I was up and doing my interview, walking in, do XYZ. I remember at the end, everybody's critiquing me, everybody, and they're like, "Yeah, you walked in there like a runway model." I'm like, "Thank you. I got my skills from Tyra Banks off of America's Next Top Model. Thank you." So I was trying to have that confidence to do that, and also I had other, I guess, role models at the time too, like who was kind of like my size, like even though size 16 wasn't like a big size, but it felt big to me in that high school moment. And I looked at Raven because she was walking like no one's business on that sort of Raven. So I saw some people around my size or kind of plus size that had confidence, but as an adult version, and you're like, she's playing a 30-something-year-old as a 25-year-old spirit. Like, you have this confidence, and
it's so refreshing. It's so it's great.
We need more shows out there like that again. We need more shows.
Yeah, and to just have it be kind of a non-issue. Like there's a couple episodes about where they deal with weight and things like that, but for the most part, she's just like an amazing character, which we need more of. I agree.
Thank you.
And so we have the let's see here, where did I lost my place? So we have this arbitration between these two women fighting over this rat. It's ridiculous. Yes.
Okay, actually fighting over a man, but fighting over a man that's supposedly a rat in the I know another, it kind of reminds me of kind of like the chimpanzee episode when they're fighting over the chimpanzee of like the child, but it's mine, he's mine, but you're fighting over a man you think that's dead, is dead, but is in a rat.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's completely insane.
And Eric's here for
funny.
Eric's here for it. He's in the office watching this play out until he shows up after after Sis's call. Like, Eric's here.
Yeah,
he's sitting in there with him watching this.
Yeah. Well, and then so we have this reality show, the Ugly Duckling show, where they make this promise to this woman that they're going to give her all this plastic surgery. And then they basically say, like, you're unsavable, and kick off the show. And then she commits suicide. And so, yeah, what did you think about this plot?
This is actually, it's tested of time with this episode, because these things are still happening in real life. People doing makeovers and surgeries out there. The fact that they're, they talk about it more, like how long they take to do, interview processing, to going underneath the knife, and the healing process. I'm like, by telling someone, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, the surgery for you, but you're still ugly. Like, it kind of reminded me of the book The Ugly Duckling, but in more of a human, trying to look beautiful at the standard of how she wanted to feel good about herself. I wish that Jane would have met her and gave her the confidence that she needed.
Yeah, it's really sad. I mean, I absolutely detest shows like The Biggest Loser, things like that. I think they're really disgusting. But yeah, this takes it even to another level. It's really, really, really gross. And then she says that, Grayson, you just wouldn't understand this case. You wouldn't understand because he's always been always been hot. Exactly.
You're always hot. You never seen the other side of, like, you never been like the ugly duck. You know how you go through puberty and you're like, you're this ugly duck, and then when you get puberty, you're like, bam, I look good. Sometimes the opposite, where when you leave out of high school, like, oh, the cute girl, but she's starting looking ugly. And by virtue, the Ugly Duckling looks a bomb, come back to 10-year reunion, like, hey y'all, I got my business, I'm looking good, I got my man, like, in that sense. And I think, like, for me, it's like, she didn't get the chance to bloom.
Yeah.
So there's a mother, she was this. I'm like,
yeah. And every woman should feel beautiful and not feel like they need to change themselves. Like, if you want to change your body, then fine. But you shouldn't feel like you don't have value without it.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Like, and we're not saying, like, don't do surgery. Like, this is up to you being safe, cautious, knowing your risk of what happens with surgeries, but just learn how to heal and self-love. I know this doesn't, like, it kind of connects to it. You remember, to leave our own when, I've got the character's name. Remember how she looked like the little ugly duckling because she had no makeup on, and then the girls helped her out. They got her hair looking cute and stuff. Like, gave her that confidence.
Yeah.
She needed.
We also have Terry kind of helping Stacy with the bakery. That was fun.
Yes.
And she brings in the cavalry at the last minute to make everything great. And then you have Terry singing the bakery song at the end.
You get a glimpse of Terry outside of, like, outside the office. She hangs out with Fred during past seasons and stuff like that, at the bars and stuff like that, or do different things. But you get to see Terry singing and doing these different things. Like, okay, we're getting a little, but Terry does outside the office. She loves to sing.
Yeah. Well, the best part about this episode, though, was Owen bringing Jane lunch and him saying, did you ever date Grayson? And then they challenge each other to a rematch because he finds out that they let him win. And Owen says, "You won the game, but I think we all know who's winning here."
Oh my gosh, you guys, Hallmarkies. I flipped out. I died on my couch when he said that. It was like that man, like, look, you think you got checkmate? I checkmate you right now. You may think you won, but I got the girl. And then Jane walks in like, you ready? Okay, it's establishing male dominance right now of Jane's mom woman. You mess up, no problem.
Yeah.
Know, this is my love. He marked his territory, basically. He marked his territory.
Yes. So
you better go, Owen. Why we take Owen?
I think this is a pretty good episode. I like the cases. I mean, the rat thing is ridiculous.
Well, at the end of the day, no party won, except for one person won on this whole thing with Eric.
Yeah. So I would give this one, I think, an 8.5.
Okay, I didn't have to give you 8.5 as well. I'm leaning towards the 9, but 8.5 because Owen he had his business. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. I'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the good folks over at Baker Publishing Group. Looking for the perfect read for Valentine's Day? These historical romance novels will woo their way into your hearts. First up, we have The Maid of Ballymacool by Jennifer Dybell. The only home Brianna Kelly has ever known is Ballymacool boarding school. But when the son of local gentry arrives at the school to deal with his unruly niece, an unexpected discovery uncovers the truth about her past and the key to her future. The Rose and the Thistle by Laura France. Amid the Jacobite uprising of 1715, an English heiress flees to the Scottish lowlands to stay with allies of her powerful family. But while castle walls may protect her from the enemy outside, a whirlwind of intrigue, shifting allegiances, and temptations of the heart lie within. Hearts of Steel by Elizabeth Camden. When successful businesswoman Maggie Molinaro offends a corrupt banker, she unwittingly sets off a series of calamities that threaten to destroy her life's work. She teams up with charismatic steel magnate Liam Blackstone, but what begins as a practical alliance soon evolves into a romance between two wounded people determined to beat the odds. Then last up is The Last Chance Cowboy by Jody Headland. When midwife Catherine Remington is accused of a murder she didn't commit, she flees to Colorado to honor a patient's dying wish to deliver a newborn to his father. But what she doesn't bargain for is how easily she'll fall for the charming sheriff, or how quickly her past will catch up with her and put their love and lives in danger. Listeners of Hallmarkies podcast can get these and many other great books by going to bakerbookhouse.com/featured/Hallmarkies, and from February 12th to 28th, save 40% using code Valentines40. That's bakerbookhouse.com/featured/Hallmarkies, promo code Valentines40. We have episode 5, Happily Ever After. And this is Jane creates havoc with Bhutanese government when she decides to represent a young woman who wants to get out of an arranged marriage to the Prince of Bhutan. Meanwhile, Kim and Parker try to help Eric's teacher get his job back when his off-campus X-rated past catches up with him. Terry signs on as Stacy's head of marketing and gets creative on Twitter and the web to get customers into the bakery. So yeah, a lot going on in this one. I think it's a pretty good basic. The case with the Bhutan is a pretty good one, I would say.
It's felt like a modern day version of Aladdin, but said Jam like running away. Well, she technically was trying to run away, but it was more of like, oh, this race manager is set. No, you can't. It is, and also learn about different laws. Other countries,
right? And so they end up having to go to the consulate and try the case there because they have to do it on Bhutanese land. So there's that. And then we also have this whole thing with Eric's teacher and Parker getting really invested. And this whole scene where he ends up stripping in the court was wild.
Oh my goodness. Everything. I feel like this episode does, bring up to like modern times of like this episode aged really well because now you have teachers, parents, stuff like that doing OnlyFans.
Right. Yeah.
OnlyFans, what type of OnlyFans you're doing, but yeah.
That's true. It is probably more of a like problem now, especially with like the pandemic and people having to make, money and at home and things like that, that I'm sure this is, if it is an issue, it's more so now than it was then. True. But I think as long as they're not bringing that into the classroom in any way, I mean, people can do have side hustles and do, as long as it's not illegal, I don't see why it would be a problem.
Unless a parent or administrator is just fishing in there and watching it for their personal use and stuff like that. And
like if it's like, obviously if it's if it's material that's illegal, but if it's perfectly legal, then I don't see what, and they don't bring it into the classroom, I don't see how it would matter. I think the only issue I think they probably have is that you're representing our school, our brand, and that's the only thing I could think of in my mind. Like, I guess if you did that, if you were like the sexy teacher or something like that, then that would be a problem. But if it's completely separate and the two are completely separate, then I would think that there wouldn't be much legal that anybody could do to stop you. But yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, this whole thing with this woman who's in this arranged marriage, she gets arrested at first for sedition, and then they find her guilty at first. And that's when that Jane last minute and Grayson, that they end up and we also have Leela, the lady. She says that she immediately sees that Grayson likes Jane. She's like, oh, you like her. Which is good. And then we have Terry and that is just crushing it with the social media. She so is. I need her, Terry. She drops that Taylor Lautner had only eaten there, even if that's not true. She gets the buzz going. That takes you back. Were you a Twihard? Were you into Twilight? Okay, so I read the books, all 4. I definitely was a Teen Jacob because I actually had a Teen Jacob shirt. But I'm not gonna lie, I thought the books were a little bit, hearsay. I'm not saying it wasn't the best work, but I read the books. Like, all the way I was kind of mad at the movie because they didn't really predict how I saw it in the book. Like, it happens all the time. But they put the best line from the book 4 into the movie. Like when I'm not spoiler, I don't care. But Jake, right before Jake took the baby away, res me, whatever. Edward told Jacob, "You're my friend. You're my brother, my son." That was it. That was them making that's them like, you'll be part of my life forever because you imprinted on my child. Like, is it? But that was a weird plot thread that they did. But I liked the first 2 books. I thought that she did a good job with like building the romantic tension. But then I did not like the third. I did not like Eclipse, and so I did not care for any. So I still the movies were not. I still see them in the tent, still like the movies were not for me. I still don't understand why they made them so cheap. It sure was cheap, especially that first one. It just looked so cheap. No, the first 5 minutes, I knew this movie was not going to be. This was not going to be for me. The first 5 minutes, I would know my first 5 minutes of a book I read or anything like that. So it did not like. I'm still rooting for when they do Prison Diaries 3 that hopefully Michael come back and marries Mia. Like, even though she's getting married to such and such, I don't care. Which one? Princess Diaries, how Princess Diaries. Yeah. Exactly. I read, I think, up to almost toward the end in high school, but her and Michael, they were like this. They didn't matter if they broke up or not. They were yeah. Well, they're making a new one, so we'll see.
Let's see what happens.
But yeah, it gets ridiculous with Parker stripping in court, and I forget even what the point was that he was doing.
It was about I forgot too, but he was so serious. He got a rain for it.
But they win the case.
They
and then
showed
you have Parker and Kim celebrating. And then Leela tells Grayson, says she's upset and you love her. You need to go to her.
Thank you.
But then Luke stopped Grayson from
going.
My.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we also find out in this episode that Owen evidently is like a marriage hater.
Yes. Like, Owen, what happened? We were rooting for you. In my tire voice, we were rooting for you. What is going on?
Yeah. But then, just before Grayson's able to get there, then Owen proposes and he says, I believe in marriage now because I see it through your eyes.
Like,
so cute.
Like, you're like, I'll marry you for like 5 seconds though, but Owen, we love you. You came around and you proposed to Jane, our girl. And
then in the court case, in the Leela case, the prince basically admits that he's human trafficking.
Yes.
And taking someone against their will, and so then that they're able to give her asylum immunity. And so
all because you want to see her friend.
Yeah, and so then Owen says, I'm your prince and you're my princess.
And no, and then you guys, they walk outside. There was a carriage.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
All that was missing on the back of it was just got engaged.
Right.
Just engaged. Not even just married. He just said just engaged.
Yes.
Like, I don't think they were missing, but that my heart was like.
And so the thing is, then you're on this high, and then they backtrack so quick in the next episode, and I was like, it was like whiplash watching.
We definitely gotta get into that because we have lots to talk about. Okay.
Yes. So what would you give this episode?
The episode had to be a 9 because child, everything. It was good. Even the cases were crazy, but everything in between, like building up to this love and this like. They were talking about some serious stuff. Like, but the proposal and then the carrots at the end just stole away. And Grayson over here in his feelings because Luke blocking him to get to Jane. I'm like,
yeah, it was really good. I even like the porn case was fun. Yeah. So yeah, I agree. 9. All right, the next episode is called Rigged. And this is Jane and Grayson team up for a case involving a faulty oil rig and the death of one of its engineers, while Jane battles the uncertainty of Owen's whereabouts and what it means for their upcoming nuptials. Meanwhile, Parker enlists Kim's help in a custody hearing for his son, Eric, when his ex, Alyssa, hires a high-profile, hard-ass attorney, Kelly Stevens, to fight for sole custody of Eric. So this one's a pretty fun episode, I would say.
Yes. And
we have this new assistant for Kim that Terry's trying to help out.
But she knew.
Yes. And then this woman's husband died in an oil rig incident. And then we have the Jane working with the victim, where Kim is working with the corporation. So then they have a conflict and they have to choose. So Jane ends up getting the case.
Yep.
And so then you have this thing with Parker and Elisa, and I think that that's all done pretty well. There's this custody hearing.
Yes.
And then you have this whole scene with Parker saying goodbye to Eric, and that was tough.
I know. And can you give a shout out to like Elisa's lawyer, because Lisa's lawyer is Serena Williams. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this season has been hitting with a lot of guest appearances, like left and right. We're barely we're hitting ground running. Like towards the end, it gets mad.
Yeah, and this was kind of fun because she was just playing a role. There was no wink, or she wasn't she was just flat out playing a role.
because she did like a couple episodes for this show though, but just other shows I've seen her on. She was on The Game, and she was just, I'm like, go ahead, Serena, because she played herself in that episode. But still, like, she had some of these.
Yeah, I thought she did a good job. I thought she did a good job. And yeah, she's the lawyer, and it was an effective whole plot kind of thing.
Yeah,
because
and
if you do get a job and you're trying to co-parent a child, like, what do you do? Like, how do you that would be very difficult.
Exactly, because she was in Toronto for 2 weeks. That's why Eric was with Parker. They were having also. Can we talk about the cute moment that Eric and Parker were having in the kitchen, like making pancakes?
Yeah.
Like they were actually bonding, like, and then I love how they talked about these court cases, like this happened, like they take the child separately with the judge, like they have these monitored, like these are
honestly, I think what you'd have to do, because I mean he's a rich lawyer, so I think he would probably just once a month fly up to Toronto, see his kid. That's what. And then maybe he can come to LA for maybe a month or longer or something like that in the summer.
Break time, summer times.
Christmas,
but I'm not gonna lie.
Too.
When you said he was a rich lawyer, I started laughing because I'm like, remember, he a rich broke lawyer because the firm ain't got no money right now.
But we have Joan Rivers appearing in this as Jane's psychiatrist. You're confusing me with Prozac. Must confuse me with Betty White.
Child.
That was funny.
Icons showing up in the. Yeah, let's go.
So then with this whole oil rig thing, there's this fight over discovery, not having the right reports. So they're like looking for the reports.
They're lying about reports.
Yeah.
Guys off. But then you kind of had like a whistleblower, but same time he wasn't. He's like giving clues to Jane, like what's happening. Kind of like how Parker did for Jane about the oil, about the oil, about the soil with the one court case with the school being built on.
Yeah,
we're doing with orchids and stuff. I was like, why can't you get these dang orchids? They ain't coming from Owen. We thought it was coming from Owen, which we didn't.
So then we have that Owen lies about being in this accident and that Owen has left her, and it's just like,
child, like what? Like I'm so confused. My gosh. He didn't tell them, Owen, where the hell did you go?
Right.
She's crying. She's like not crying though, but she's just freaking out because it's like he had to return my text messages. And Terry is the real friend, okay? They copies of Owen's keys, going and checking, like, where is Owen? We're gonna talk about that. Shoot.
I was so mad at him.
Like, where were you? Like, why would you disappear? I'm thinking like he got out the thing, like he died. Like, what happened?
I feel like they should have had like one episode in between the proposal and this happening. Like it was too much too soon.
Yeah, it was like a missing episode.
Yeah. But anyway, it's a pretty good episode. I would give this one an 8.
Definitely 8.5.
Yeah.
We find out what happened at the end of the oil rig. They did win after we found out some stuff, but definitely.
All right. So next we have episode 7. This is Crushed. And this episode, we have Jane's mom, Elaine, enlists Jane's help in defending a girl she used to babysit who was accused of murdering another teen. Tired of Luke's antics, Parker asks Grayson to help woo Gina Blunt as a new potential investor in the firm, despite Terry's protests about her. Terry and Stacy discover some news about Owen that leaves Jane devastated. Ugh. So yeah, so this one basically, the big news is that like he's gone, and they're trying to like, and Jane says, I want Owen. And I don't know, just that whole thing was so sad.
I don't want to cry on this podcast, y'all. Like,
but there's this Gina lady. Terry hates her. I didn't love Gina.
I didn't either. She felt like Harrison. So she was like a Harrison 2.0 situation.
Yeah. And it was just, I didn't think that she had any like chemistry with Grayson, and so it just felt like a placeholder
It did.
for Grayson.
See, this placeholder should have been in between those between this episode and last episode, or between the happy ever after episode and the rig episode. That what we needed.
Well, and so then Terry sneaks into Owen's apartment and finds out that he's in Minneapolis, and so that's hard. And then we have this girl who's getting tried for murder, and this girl was murdered at the school, right?
So the girl, she murdered at the school.
Yeah, and I guess there was nobody else there. But the girl ends up getting arrested, and then Jane thinks that it could have been the sister. So there's sort of a back and forth with that, and they try to get the girl to take a settlement, but she is just defiant that she didn't do it. And then we find out that the mother is the one who lost it and killed the girl.
Child.
Yeah.
All I gotta say is, if y'all remember I think it was in season 2. If y'all remember the episode with the old woman in the house not moving. It kind of similar to that. Just saying.
But then it gets even crazier because you think, oh, well, this was just like an act of rage or whatever that this woman had, and then they find the remains of the dad in the backyard.
Y'all, like,
yeah, it was a pretty good case.
It was definitely that case was okay. It was just woo. Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really make sense that Jane would be, I mean, I guess because it's a family friend, maybe you'd be helping,
family friend situation.
But she's not a criminal attorney. She's a civil attorney. So, but you know, who cares about that?
That part.
And let's see what else. We have Luke bringing a margarita machine, like trying to be all cool, but then Gina accepts the offer, and then they have a ex-fiance bonfire for Owen.
I cried at that bonfire. I was like, why? I was like, no. That's everything burning. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's holding that ring. I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, I would have like kind of pawned the ring. I'm sorry, y'all. Or I kept it like, just get to pawn it. But okay, can you talk about how
I wouldn't burn she didn't burn the wedding ring, but I wouldn't just because I it's just too wasteful.
It is like,
but I understand the desire to.
Yeah, because she was out to this close, but she did. I was like, "Ooh, girl, you better wait to pawn that." I'm not sure how much she spent on it though, but you might get some money from it. But I know earlier I mentioned how I love Jane's laugh. How the dev does her like they're Jane's laugh.
Yeah.
With him, why her and Elaine did it in this episode, and I was like, that's where she gets her laugh from.
So I would give this one a 7.
7.5.
Yeah. Okay, so then we have Road Trip, this is episode 8, and it is teaming up with Grayson to supervise a law student's suit on behalf of a computer company employee puts Jane at odds with her former Stanford Law School mentor. Meanwhile, Kim begins to suspect that the firm's creditor, Gina, is up to no good. So what do you think of this episode?
This episode was definitely, a road trip in itself. We get to go back in time to like Jane's alma mater and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But let's give it up to the professor, the law professor. I forgot her name though, but she's actually a vet in acting. She also was on her own show with Lifetime, Any Day Now. And she played the heck, because mind you, her character in Any Day Now was actually a lawyer. But it was like a rights lawyer. And
she was good. She's good. I mean, it was a pretty good story as far as helping this student. And I thought this law student also did a good job of kind of building confidence after.
I get to see first, I guess the first, view of what lawyers, students that go into law school, how they try cases and stuff like that. We do it, like, we see it in mock trial, but actually seeing it in a lawyer standpoint, like you get to have someone, a professor there, someone who's licensed to do that. And I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, we also have Luke telling Grayson, you don't want to be the rebound guy. So that kind of gets him in. And then he says, I think Owen made the biggest mistake of his life. So then you're building up, like they did such a good job in this show, building up this love triangle, like way better than Twilight.
Oh, this definitely is way better than Twilight, you guys.
So then we also have this insurance fraud guy that is suing this they want the case dismissed because it's a staged accident. But then we also have I felt like it was good that the law student wasn't like made understandable mistakes, like when she takes the 10K offer.
Yes.
Yeah, that was good.
And so we found a loophole. Yes, we found a loophole.
Mm-hmm. We also have this whole scene where there's this tradition of kissing under the full moon. Oh, and they get so close.
Wait, I want to know if this is actually real. I didn't look it up, but I want to know if this is real.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't check at Stanford. I should ask my brother-in-law went there.
Okay.
Should ask him. But then Jane says Grayson had every opportunity to make a move. And Stacy asked Grayson, why didn't you make a move? And it's building up.
There's in the whole room in college drinking beers. Like,
yeah. Why didn't you make a move?
It was that would be more scandalous. That would be more scandalous. Like, but he's up with Grayson. Why, like, Owen is gone. Now you cheated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so then they have we also have this case. Well, the case is about the shaken baby syndrome.
Yes.
This woman, and they go up against the Stanford professor. Mm-hmm. And she says, Jane says, I feel like a completely different person now.
Do, because I feel like literally you look at like Jane's picture before Dev stepped into her body, like, or got into her body, like Jane looked dead. Like she wasn't alive. She was just a workaholic, just just focused on just studying and just getting like. Thank you, Jane. Jane, we love you, but Dev, she gave you life again.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so then we also have Stacy working with Luke to get an outfit for this awards. And it turns out it's just like nothing, the awards, but basically, it means something to Stacy because it's the first time anyone ever praised her for her brain. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the end of the episode with this crazy thing with everybody in the whole office is under arrest for conspiracy to launder money, and the office is closed.
Okay, I was between all the court cases and stuff, and like what happened with that, the guy with the wheelchair situation.
It was all
we're shutting down now. Like, where's everybody going? They're grabbing their stuff. Like, we're closing because of laundering because of the last case. I'm like,
I think this is a pretty good episode. I would give this an 8.5.
This is definitely 8.5. Shoot, I was not, like I said, I'm watching this, like, kind of like watching it for the first time. Like, I forgot that they shut down Harrison Parker.
Okay, so then we have episode 9, Ashes to Ashes. Jane and Grayson represent a woman who is suing for custody of her late fiance's ashes. And just as Jane starts to accept his disappearance, Owen suddenly returns. So I love this episode. I think this is a great episode. This is one of the cases that I remembered from watching the show. Like, just this crazy case with this woman who eats her fiance's ashes. It was wild, but it was so effective in like bringing up the themes of grief and loss, and it was effective for Grayson's character, for Jane's character.
Yes, they had to fight too.
This is a really good one, I think.
Yeah, they is.
And Gracie, you can't take no for an answer, and then we get the end. We find out that Owen's heart stopped. Yeah, and that's why he was basically like missing in action in Minneapolis. We also find out that Gina was the crook. The big conspiracy was her fault.
And tell me why Kim got very upset about Parker. You should have told me I'm a partner. I'm like, yeah, you should know this. You're a lawyer. Why would Parker tell you something like this? He's not supposed to tell you if he's undercover like this.
Yeah,
like he can be in trouble and get arrested and get fined and go to jail.
Yeah, so Parker was kind of deep undercover to bring down Gina, and I can understand why Kim was upset though, because he does kind of keep her on the outside for everything.
Yeah, outside of everything, but I'm like something like with the feds, I get him can't tell you something like that.
Yeah,
Next time, I think next time they need to have better communication where in the future, should have had this in the episode, like in future, if anything happened that's wrong with federal government, I can't tell you things, okay?
Yeah. Well, so then Owen says he can't marry Jane because he's like too fragile, evidently, I guess. And she says, you don't get to leave me because I'm leaving you.
Like they were bullying, they were fighting. I was like, stop fighting! Like the kid running into like their parents, like when they're fighting, like stop fighting! Wake up already!
Yeah. So we also have Terry being Lady Bodacious.
Yes.
She wins this rock off, and it turns out it ends up being a scam. But so you get that with her, and then we have, let's see here. Oh, so we find out that there's poison in the ashes, and so we found out that he was actually murdered for his was it the mother or sister?
It was the stepmother. The stepmother poisoned him, poisoned the fiance or her stepson to get all his money. I want his ashes because she's keeping his ashes so they won't test his ashes to find out he was poisoned.
It's crazy, fun.
It is. But I would not eat ashes, even though I kind of actually have ashes, but I won't eat ashes.
Don't eat them. And then Jane says to Owen, "I'm not taking no for an answer." And she proposes to Owen.
She so did. Like, she wanted to be there for him, like everything. Like,
yeah.
They back on again, y'all. They back on again. I'm taking it through this roller coaster. Owen, put Jane on all your medical stuff, or at least your sister, so they could know.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's ridiculous, but it worked as far as creating tension. I just wish that they had given us like one episode in between. It was so stark to go from him proposing to him leaving in one episode. That was a lot.
Or you can say, oh, Owen's on a vacation for a week or something like that, or he's going to see family somewhere, and we would have got, okay, that's fine. Then we find out, oh, he was in the hospital, something.
Yeah. So I would give this one, I think I'd give this one a 9.
This is definitely a 9.
Yeah, this one's really good. Okay. Oh, we gotta keep going. Okay, episode 10 is called Lady Parts, and it's Bobby Dobkins enlists Jane's help when a dance school student sues her over an injury, while a high school classmate hires Grayson when the city of Lakewood refuses to pay her for the sculpture it considers obscene. So this is a pretty good episode. We have Jane. She's really scared that she's going to cause Owen to have a heart attack. So she's like treating him like and then with this whole case with the statue, it was pretty funny.
Like, it really was. Well, I don't know why can I not remember the statue? Like, why do I not remember this? Like, I remember everything but the statue right now. Like, this is freaking me out.
Oh, well, it definitely looked like, it definitely looked like an infant statue.
Oh,
which
I
was
remember.
funny.
Okay, it's coming back to me. Oh Lord.
Okay, so then we have this client of that Grayson was in high school with, and then that's the artist. They were in high school together, and then we also have Bobby being sued, and basically she's kind of like she's pretty tough on these. She's pretty tough on these students. And we get Abby Lee Miller, Dance Moms.
It's just I love how the fact that this show incorporated a lot of stars from other sitcoms and series from off of Lifetime, because you're bringing alumni from
and I feel like that was probably like peak Dance Moms.
Yeah, this was definitely
popularity.
Like the beginning, like probably like between the first like 2 seasons or something like that.
This was 2012, and that just feels right. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's when it kind of like picked up like Dance Moms.
And I've never watched that show, no interest in it. But he says motivation and intimidation, there's a difference, and that's when a child gets hurt. And so Bobby ends up firing Jane at one point because she thinks that Jane doesn't really believe in her, and the thing is that she remembers how hard her mom was to Deb. So, and there's a particular nationals like thing that they keep showing. So, and then we have more about this case with the statue. They get the emergency injunction from Owen, and in the end, they have this they have Terry and others chaining themselves to the art because they have to prove that it has like significant value, I guess.
Mhm.
And so then Owen rules in the sake of the art. And basically it turns out that it's like Grace ends up kissing the artist lady, and it turns out it was all just for attention, publicity, so she could get more art. But yeah, I mean, they have Grayson kissing like everybody this season.
Oh my God, he's just everybody. He's turning into a Kim. He's turning to Kim right now. Oh,
and so then Owen says, the source of my stress is you. Stress. And then I loved it when they were like, congrats on your blood pressure, your honor. So cute. Yes. So then we have Luke taking Kim to this concert, and so it's like, are they a couple? Like, what's happening with Luke? And then Bobby says, I always apologize if you were wrong. So she apologizes, and then Bobby meets Owen, which is very sweet because, you know, she would want her mom to know Owen. So yeah, so this was a pretty good episode. I think I would give it an 8.
I'm gonna give it an 8 too. I'm gonna go back and rewatch it because I don't think that was taped on my DVR, because I'm definitely missed the whole episode. So I was wondering why I sat here like, wait a minute, I don't remember this episode. I'm like, oh, did they not actually air it? So now I had to go back on the DVR, you guys.
Okay.
Like now I'm sitting here like it was on like in loop. I'm like, wait a minute, why did I feel like I missed, like I feel like, you know how like you're sitting there like you're missing like a whole like chapter or something. I was missing a chapter or something that I thought I saw, but I didn't. That was I'm very confused. I'm like, wait a minute. Yes,
maybe they didn't air it because this had some more mature,
yeah, some things. So it's kind of like,
I don't know.
And maybe I wouldn't air the pilot episode either. I'm gonna
but they did go back and air that eventually for the marathon. They did the pilot, but yeah, so okay, so the next one's called Family Matters, and this is as Jane's lawsuit on behalf of a teenager who collapsed at a rave prompts a death threat against Owen. Kim and Grayson represent a sperm donor seeking to retain his parental rights in this one. And so we have this teen in a coma after the rave, and who is it fault? Is it, is it her fault? And you have the rave guy threatens Jane and leaves this threatening picture on there, and first Jane just gives Owen a security detail, and he's like, why are these people following me? And then he says, I'm not going to allow anybody to intimidate me or the woman I love.
Oh my goodness. I was like, oh
yeah,
that's so cute.
Yeah, and so it turns out that the girls were on ecstasy, and so there's some back and forth with that. But then they find out that there wasn't enough water at this event, and that the water company and the rave were connected. So the water was like $5-6 a thing. And so the councilman Phillips owns the water company, and so did you threaten a sitting judge who's also the most wonderful fiance on earth?
That was so and also he's like, after the 5th, I'm like,
yeah. So then Jane wants to tell Owen about Deb.
Yes.
And I'm not Fred. Luke says, are you telling the truth for him or for you?
Ooh.
Yeah.
They're talking about not keeping secrets from each other.
And so we also have this sperm bank thing where they the guy has just been doing it for like his friends and stuff. And then it turns out that he gets arrested for operating an illegal sperm bank. And that kind of goes back and forth. And it's interesting they keep giving Kim all of these like parental cases. You know,
it makes me think now. It makes me think like they were leading up to this.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Why click just now? It just clicked just now.
And then they have this whole thing of nobody has the right to get into others' procreation. So.
Thank you. Just like how they not be in a woman's like, but body about abortion. Like, get out of our business.
Then we have Ron Ben Ezril cameo in this as the caterer, and Terry and they're going in for the caterer, and that was a lot of fun. That was funny. And then we also have my favorite part of the whole episode was Stacey goes in to find out more about Owen's father. Yes. And he tells her the story of Field of Dreams.
When he said that, I was like, why are we? I'm like, Kevin Costner, where are you? I mean, are you gonna pop up in the episode? Let me know.
It was funny. Well, my father was a farmer in Ohio or whatever. Very familiar. So I would give this one, I think, a 7.5. It was pretty fun.
I was gonna do an 8.5 because I actually understand the rave hype. I didn't go as a minor, but I went to like a festival last year, and I understand about the water situation because people were passing out, charging way more. It was.
Okay, so then we have the next episode is called Picks and Pakes. And this is after teaming up to sue a big drug company, Jane worries that her partner, a high-profile trial lawyer, is mentally unsound. And when someone claims the patent on the Pake, Stacey has to find con artist Nikki LaPree to back her up in court. So we get an appearance from Cameron Matheson.
We do.
Yes.
I forgot he was in this episode. I was like, wait a minute, I know who that is. It's like a younger version of him.
He's the patent troll. And so that's kind of fun. Have him in there. But it is a thing. These people will because it's hard. It's a lot of work to create a patent. And there are people that will go on before, like when one's pending or before they've gotten it done, they will go and claim the patent for something that they didn't even do. And that is a thing that they have. And so that's kind of going on with Stacey. And then we also have this that we get Nancy Grace on, and Jane's on the show, and this Lawrence Brand guy, he keeps interrupting her.
Yeah.
And then she makes Nancy Grace fall out of her chair.
And then everybody's guys, this is where the office starts trolling everybody. We saw that.
Yeah.
So that reminded me of a story that happened to me once where I was watching one of my RAs, watching my friend's bunny for the weekend. Her and her old boyfriend was going out of town, like watching both their bunnies. One of them died. It was one was Oreo, one was Copper. Copper passed away. I don't know how, he must have choked. So I had my RA get him out the thing. Next thing I know, at work, everybody finds out, like, they're trolling me, like, you're the bunny killer. I'm like, no, I'm not a killer, you guys. Stop it. It's gonna be a weekly over that, y'all. It's gonna be a whole week.
I bet. Well, we have it turns out this Lawrence Brand guy that he has Pakes disease, it's called. So it's basically like a form of dementia.
Yeah.
And so that was really interesting. We end up with this drug lady ends up taking the fifth, and so and then Lawrence at the end of the whole thing, he ends up retiring. And Stacey has not had the conversation with Jane about the fact that Jane will be moving out.
Yes.
And then finally one of the groomsmen shows up who's a real estate agent. Yeah.
With him. See, they messing up. They could have been with one of the groomsmen.
Yeah.
The opportunity there.
And then we have Star Jones as a judge in this one, which is fun.
like no, I'm not gonna die, but I can try. But I love this. I love how it was, okay, if this is your pack, you know how as a business, your products, everything like that. I love how they did that bake off in the courtroom.
Yeah.
Because
it was ridiculous, but fun.
Yes. And you can tell, like, the artmanship, the details, like, they like inflated down, like, you're definitely not the person who made this.
Yeah. So then we have Kim and Luke making out, but then she's like avoiding him after that, and we find out that she's pregnant.
That girl, that chick me. I was like, Kim, you pregnant? Wahoo! Because
Ooh, yeah, and then we find out that Stacy is going to go to the wedding with Roger, the groomsman. And we also find out that Jane's dream is to have 2 boys and a girl, spaced 3 years apart, Cameron, Jacob, and Zoe.
And they have a little dog too.
That's so cute.
I was like, oh.
Wow. I mean, I feel like almost all women, even if you don't think that you're going to have children, you still have like, if I did, what would I want? And what would I name?
I know friends who had the names of their kids, they were going to name them, and they actually had the kids and they named them those names.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah. For me, if I think that it is past, I'm not going to have kids, but if I did have kids, I would want a boy and a girl named Christian and Lily.
Aww. So I tell myself this: if I ever had kids, like, it could happen, you never know. But I tell myself, okay, I can name a junior after my husband, or whatever case may be. I said, if I had twins, if it was like a boy and a girl, I'll name it Esther and Hester, because my last name is Hester. I'm going to take, eventually my husband.
Oh, there you go.
It's like, it's morning, the morning star, the evening star. Y'all work it out, and then after that, we'll figure out from there.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Hey, we got the finale.
The finale.
Yeah. So this is episode.
Oh, we got to rate the last episode.
I would give that one a 7.
I was going to do 8.5.
Okay. All right. So then this one, Jane's getting married, episode 13. And it is, as she works to persuade a friend to have a fatal brain tumor removed, Jane must confront her unresolved feelings for Grayson. And after Stacy helps Kim defend a country singer who's accused of trying to murder her ex-boyfriend, Jane struggles with her mother's help as she prepares for her wedding day. So basically this one, we're kind of leading to this big cliffhanger. They love the cliffhangers on this. And we meet old Jane. She's up there. She's been watching this whole thing. She's very frustrated. And yes. And somebody says, go see Fred. And so then we get Fred back up there, and she starts to figure it out. And then Owen and Jane are writing their vows, getting ready for the wedding. I have to say, I'm not a big fan of her wedding dress.
I thought it could have been better. I know it was 2012, but it could have been a better wedding dress. Like, come on. If Hillary Duff could have had a bomb dress that was a wedding dress for from a Cinderella story, why can't Jane have a bomb dress? Plus size women need to have cute bridal couture outfits, okay?
Well, and it was just a little too fluffy. Like, I think Jane would look better in something more like elegant than like,
I thought the jewels were cheap.
It looked cheap too. It did. I agree.
It looked like they got it off like the clearance rack of David's Bridal.
Yeah.
I got tried on so many times, got ran over. Like, y'all are doing a disservice to my girl Jane. And you know she a fashionista too.
Yeah. So, but this case is so ridiculous in this thing that supposedly that somebody would sue her, this artist, for someone committing a crime based on her song. I mean, that just seems ridiculous to me. I don't think that would ever make it to court.
They actually take that up to court, actually. in real time.
Because you're not responsible for somebody else that's then, like, you have the free speech to be able to produce. I mean, I know there's been cases and things like that, but like Kelly Osbourne comes on, she's like the super fan of cutting the brakes on the man who cheated on Paige, on this lady. And so then we find out that this guy actually cut his own brakes because he wanted the attention.
Yes, he punched her. Actually, he didn't snip it because they caught it tomorrow. If they actually were going by the lyrics, you would have snipped instead of punching a hole in it. That's how they found out the loophole, how they did it.
Yeah. So then we have this other case of this woman who, she has this brain tumor, but the way that it like pinches on the nerve makes her actually smarter. So the husband wants her to have the brain tumor removed, but she doesn't want to because she likes being smart. And that was a pretty good case, I think.
Oh, no, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have Kim telling, Luke spoils the news about Kim being pregnant to Parker, and then Kim tells Parker that it's not his at first, but then she says that it is, and at the end, at the wedding, you're the father.
I'm not gonna lie, I died laughing when she told him the first time, like, and it's not yours. And I was like, mic drop. And Parker was like, shook it, like, what? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then we have this doctor who lied about the research in order to get this grant. So she kind of gets in trouble. And then we have Parker saying nothing compares to falling in love. Yeah. And so then Luke says to her, would you swap this life for your old life?
Ooh.
So she starts thinking, and we also have some conflict between her and her mom, and she ends up asking her mom to walk her down the aisle. And then Grayson tells Jane he's in love with her, and they kiss, and Owen comes in, and Owen has a heart attack.
Guys, like, this whole last episode is crazy.
And then old Jane presses return. So of course we know that now old Jane is inside Owen, which is really messed up.
Guys, like, yes, it's like a big spoiler, but this has to be known because things happen.
Oh yeah, because he opens his eyes, and it's definitely like after she presses the button, there's no doubt that that's old Jane. It's a wild ending to this season.
It's super wild. The cameos from like this last episode to because even with like the court came out the lyrics and using it to sue the artist, like we're not suing Carrie Underwood, we're not suing other artists, because your lyrics told us before he cheats you're supposed to carve your keys into his leather, do it on
that's ridiculous drive. Like you couldn't, that's ridiculous, but it made for a pretty fun episode. I did. Yeah, I love this episode. And
we have to see Fred, though.
Especially Grayson. I mean, oh my gosh.
Child, like how this like any type of rom-com, you will see the guy or the girl come like, I love you, and have that kiss, and then you're like, wait a minute, the person sees it. I'm like,
well, and they love doing these left at the altar things in movies and television. I have never heard of it actually happening in real life ever. Like I know people that broke off their engagements, but I have never heard of it in real life. But it's in the movies. You think it happened like all the time.
You know what? I think I thought it had happened maybe on Blue Moon, like you read it in the news. But personally, in our circles, it never happens.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. So I'd give this one a 10. I think this is a very, very a great episode.
Yes, this is a 10. Parker about to be a dad again. He's gonna have 2 kids now.
Yeah.
So he is definitely a baby. He's a baby daddy until he wives up Kim, which we don't know until season 6. We don't know. But he's gonna be baby daddy. We got great. We got Owen dead. OJ's back in a new
friend back. We've got it's just, and there was Kelly Osbourne in this episode. Yes. It's just
and then also the singer. I got her name though, but she actually was she actually did she was actually on Disney Channel. She did
she was on Baby Mama.
Brothers. And also she's also on Baby Daddy, by the way. I love her on Baby Daddy.
Yeah.
It's on Freeform. Yep. He's a BBC Family.
Yes. Well, let us know what is your favorite of these episodes of season 4, what you think of the season as a whole. We'd love to hear in the comments. If you get through, this is a very long episode. So if you get through this whole thing, put in hashtag we love Owen.
Yes.
Put in your comment. Owen. That way we'll know you got through.
Yes. Hashtag we love Owen, because Owen was that guy until he had that hair attack, y'all.
Yes. So we'll see what happens in season 5. It probably will be a couple weeks before we get to season 5 because I'm going to be out of town next week. So it probably won't happen until, it'll probably be a couple weeks, but we'll do our best. So
don't worry. Season 5 is airing currently right now. I'm watching it right now. So
yeah. Well, let us know what you think. And Jazzman, where can people find you?
You're going to find me at Shreem16, SHREM, on Instagram and on Twitter, which I'm going to give you guys my bakery flavor I'm going to eat.
Okay, yes. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps us a lot. And if you are watching YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have a Patreon group and merch store. Lots of fun stuff going on there. And so check that out. And thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you all later. Bye.
Yeah, bye.